Ready.
Ready.
Are you drunk? Just like how, on a scale of 1 to Tiger Woods when driving, where are you right now?
I'm having my first sip of the day right now.
Okay.
There we go. Me too.
Me as well.
Okay.
we all know that's a lie.
A podcast about bourbon and the ones who drink it. This is Bourbon Matters. Welcome to Bourbon Matters. I'm Jake.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Gold Eagle Jake.
Tonight we are going to go through some market updates. I don't know if anybody follows or is aware of Whiskey Decision on Facebook and Instagram, but it's a great follow. If you like to look at data and stuff, they do these awesome graphics. So if you're just listening at home, sorry, I'll try and describe all of these for you. But they make these awesome like charts and stuff that show a lot of the data behind the whiskey market. So it's been a while since we kind of talked about the trajectory of the market. So felt like it's a good time to kind of take a look into some of the data and see where we're going. So the first one just came out today. So U.S. whiskey has never had more capacity or less reason to use it. So the chart shows from 2012 going to 2006, there's a pretty steep incline in capacity all the way through 2024, and then two sharp drops year over year between 24 to 25 and 25 to 26. Back-to-back declines of 25 and 22% over the last 2 years have taken production from 80 million proof gallons down to just 47 million in 2 years.
This is just based on Q1, first quarter.
Correct, yeah, comparing Q1 to Q1 each year. So I think this is, what we all kind of saw coming, I think. The way things have been going.
But yet you all wanted to debate me on if whiskey had peaked or not.
I don't know. You're still wrong, Dan.
Numbers aren't going to support your view on that on this chart, especially.
So I mean, what this is really explaining is that distilleries are cutting production. I mean, we've hammered home the point that there's a huge inventory of barrels across the country. So this is, starting to support that, that there's at least not the demand, that there was in 2020. And it seems like we've caught up with the peak demand of 2020 from a production standpoint. And now it's time to scale back a little bit. I know Dan has thoughts.
Yeah, I mean the two biggest things that stand out is this is how many proof gallons have been produced. This is according to the TTB. Mm-hmm. So everyone every month has to report all of their production numbers, all of their sales numbers to the TTB. First quarter of 2026 is 47 million proof gallons produced. That's the lowest that's been is since 2017. In 2016, there was 46 million proof gallons produced in Q1. In 2017, there was 47 million. We're currently at 47 million for Q1 for 2026. So this is going back to pre-COVID numbers by a few years. 2016, 2017, before we even had any idea of what COVID was. I think the more eye-popping thing on this is that the TTB counts 3 times as many industry members today than back in 2012. So in Q1 of 2012, 32 million proof gallons were produced. As I said, we're at 47 million proof gallons in 2026. So despite there being 3 times as many producers out there, since 2012, the numbers have drastically fallen, which means one of 2 things. Either the small guys are really getting squeezed out, or the small guys are taking away some sales from the bigger guys. The fact that they're still producing this much, but with 3 times as many distilleries, is kind of the more interesting part that they don't really get into too much on this graph.
Yeah, I know. Like we've talked about that before. What's the impact of some sort of downturn, in the industry? I think Jake, you had a pretty strong opinion on what you thought was going to happen, between like the big guys and the smaller guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This chart is what we've been kind of discussing, and I don't think it should come as a surprise to anyone because people like Jim Beam and bigger distilleries have said they're going to pause production or not distill as much. And we all know there is a surplus of whiskey aging. But I'm still looking back at COVID 2020 when big distilleries like Maker's Mark and Woodford Reserve ran out of their regular 94 proof stuff on the shelf. And what do you do when you don't have your flagship everyday bread and butter as you ramp up production and you start making more? And Dan, you were a distiller. You get in the habit of running the still X amount of hours a day, and it's kind of hard, or you don't, like, how would you know when to like pause and really scale back and not produce as much as you're producing? It's going to take years to realize, oh wow, like we went from out of whiskey to sell to now having a surplus of barrels. And so of course, like at that point you're going to hit the brakes pretty hard, which is what we're seeing right now. But I do like your point, Dan, about how there's many more people in the industry today compared to back when we were almost steadily producing this amount of whiskey. And we've already, I don't know if this includes all the layoffs that have recently happened, but in the past couple of months there's been a lot of layoffs at bigger distilleries.
Probably caught the tail end of some of it because this would have been January, February, March.
It says through March 2026.
Yeah. Yep.
But we've also talked about how many of those employees are experienced people at distilleries. Like there's a lot of visiting and bourbon tourism that's booming right now. So hopefully we can find roles in that for all those people in the industry, because this industry truly does come and go in waves, with people buying and people selling. And the natural art of it is that it takes 6 to 10 years for whiskey to hit maturity. So it's very, very hard to predict, where the industry is going to be when your particular distillery has its whiskey at its peak maturation.
Yeah. I mean, to build on Jake's point a little bit, I was going to kind of ask you the same question, Dan. Like, in an industry that's forced to outlook like 5 or 6 years, how do you predict something like this? Like, it seems like it's not possible. You just kind of have to roll with it after the fact.
So I was at Whiskey Acres in 22 and 23. 23 and 24. Yeah, 23, 24. There's 2 things. 2023, I was running a second shift. So we were running the still basically double the amount what we were used to. End of 23, 24, we stopped that for a couple of reasons. One, my back went out, and I couldn't do the work necessary by myself with a bad back. But two, I had started doing a lot of research at that point in 23, and they kind of decided their shift was going to be they didn't want to create hardly any yellow corn bourbon. They're still producing some, mainly for on-prem locations, but that's kind of when their shift was. Hey, we're going to have this new hybrid that we'll find out it might be our new um, standard label, but their shift, the shift the whiskey agents decided to go with it back then was we're going to focus more on just distilling nonstop of the specialty grains. Um, so, and that kind of lines up exactly with when production stalled, 2023 and 24, very similar numbers. So I think what you see there is a lot of people started to see it coming at that point, and leveled off. But the last 2 years, the sharp decrease. I mean, 2024 Q1, 80 million proof gallons produced. Q1 of 26, 47 million proof gallons produced. So in 2 years, it's not too far off from being half of what it was at the peak of 2024.
Yeah. And I mean, we know that almost all of the big six like doubled their capacity between like 2016 and 2022 or so. So to me, it seems like they might be
like a smaller timeline. Like it was almost like 2019 to 2022.
Well, some of them for sure, yeah. But I think like Heaven Hill was ahead. They were like doing it around 2016 or maybe even earlier that they doubled their capacity.
Well,
and then
you can easily see a couple things. So 2015 to 2016 is when the jump started going from mid 30 million proof gallons to mid 40s.
Yeah.
That's also right around the time when we started to see a lot more distilleries popping up as well, too. A lot more
Right.
craft.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I think what the hope out of this graph is if this 47 million proof gallons in Q1 stays consistent, then that should mean that we can stay around where we were in 2016, 2017 with a lot of distilleries. And still have enough market share for a lot of people to stay afloat. The problem is going to be if that number drops Q1 of next year by the 20% that it has been doing, that's going to be a big tell right there.
Yeah, so I guess my question would be, do you think that the big guys are in trouble because their capacity increases that now, seemingly aren't necessary? Or do you think it's really going to be the smaller distilleries that are going to suffer because they're just not going to be able to hold on to whatever market share they manage to capture?
I think the small guys for sure. I think as a big distillery, you already have so many connections and so much marketing power that you look at what all these distilleries are doing right now, creating new labels, bringing excitement back into their brand, increasing age statements. I think for a big distillery, it's easier to move some of that whiskey with things like that. For a smaller distillery, and again, these big distilleries can recoup their money by throwing these barrels out on the market too. Smaller guys don't have the marketing power. They don't have the network to go out and sell X amount of thousands of barrels instantly off of creating something new and exciting. And they certainly don't have the power like the big guys do to go on the market and sell barrels to other distilleries, because why would you want to buy from a small distillery you've never heard of versus buying 100 barrels from Jim Beam or MGP, just a bigger reputable distillery.
It's 1,000% the smaller guys. I think the two biggest people at risk are going to be newer NDPs that don't have a lot of gravitas behind them or don't have a story behind them. And I would bet the same as distilleries that have popped up in the last 6 to 8 years that don't have a story either. I think people that have the more unique stories are going to stick around a lot longer. Hopefully for good, but they just don't have the market capability that big guys have. And on top of that, big guys can go easily. It's a lot easier for them to transition into the international market than it is for the small guys.
So
See,
I actually disagree on the NDP side.
yeah, I also disagree.
I think it's going to be incredibly easy for NDPs to start up now that barrel prices are like plummeting.
If you
you're
play
not
your
wrong.
if you
You're
play
not
your
wrong
cards
on that.
right,
The NDPs that bought a ton of barrels the last
Yeah.
3 or 4 or 5 years, those are going to be the ones in trouble because they're not going to be able to compete at a low price. Sorry, I should have been more specific on that.
and
Yeah.
there's also something that the consumer doesn't think about. There's NDPs that get locked into contracts with MGP and larger distilleries, and they're locked in at paying a price per barrel that when they signed that contract they thought was a steal, and now they're paying double what the current market is showing on these barrels. So I think if you're really smart and you really keep your inventory thin and you play your cards right, it's the best time ever for an NDP. There's going to be a surplus of good barrels with high age statements at very reasonable prices. But yeah, if you're sitting on a lot of barrels already that you bought a couple years ago, you're probably going to be fighting to stay alive every single day.
Especially when Buffalo Trace starts offloading barrels.
I don't see Buffalo Trace offloading.
I don't think so. I'm just joking. But
And I think going back on the expansion thing, Buffalo Trace, I think expanded well before COVID. I mean, they had been expanding a ton.
they just finished construction, I think, in 2021. Because when we were there, Dan, they were still wrapping up, I think, the still construction in 2019 was when we went.
Fucking fine.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Killed way too many brain cells.
But yeah, I think it might have been over 2020 that they completed construction. But
And these big distilleries have plenty of ways to sell their product. I mean, a lot of it goes into RTDs or can go into RTDs and other grain spirits. So these guys are not going to be hurting. Some of the biggest brands for Sazerac are brands that we would never think. They're just volume brands, cheap stuff, and so there's plenty of ways for those guys to sell product.
yeah, so here's another graphic showing $150 billion has basically been erased from market value amongst Diageo, Pernod Ricard, Brown-Forman, and MGP, though MGP is the least affected of those four. The chart shows in 2021 there was a $224.81 billion market cap. Over the years to 2026, that market cap is now $79 billion. So about $146 billion lost in value across those four companies, which is pretty staggering. Diageo is the largest loss at almost $80 billion. Pernod Ricard at $43.4 billion. Brown-Forman at 21.7, which we kind of talked about a couple months ago with the potential buyout discussions. Then MGP at negative 1.5 billion. So what do you guys think this has to do with the glut of whiskey? Because I think every single one of these brands owns, for sure Brown-Forman and MGP, obviously, but Diageo and Pernod Ricard also own several whiskey brands. Do you think this is mostly from the whiskey glut issue, or do you think this is a larger trend with dropping alcohol sales?
This shows more or less the trend of drinking across the board is down. I wish they would have thrown the percentages on here, like what percent, 21.7 billion for market cap for Brown Foreman from what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, MGP staying pretty similar. I mean, they're majority whiskey, and it doesn't say if it's MGP ingredients or just the distillation side.
I think it is because that is the MGP Ingredients logo.
Yeah, I think that's the larger entity.
That includes all their grain stuff and everything.
Yeah.
So they're obviously a little more diversified. They can hold on to not lose nearly as much market cap. But
Yeah, I don't think that's a surprise because especially all the contract distillation and barrels that they can sell off without having to market or sell bottles of whiskey.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the number looks staggering. This doesn't give a ton of information in terms of exact if we're looking straight at whiskey, but I mean, everyone knows across the board that the younger generations drink less and less than the previous ones because they focus on stupid things like mental and physical health. Just dumb. I'm also the only boomer here.
You are the only boomer.
I don't know. To me, it's another set of data or graph just raising concern for no reason.
Yeah, this one didn't really do too much for me. When I was looking at it, I'm like, this.
And I'm not hating on Whiskey Decision or
Sounds like you
this. No, I'm not. I think
like
there's
a lot
just
of beef.
there's
That's
a
how you really
ton.
feel.
There's a ton of negativity around the whiskey industry that has built from a few small rumors and pieces of news, such as Jim Beam shutting down one of their distilleries, and it's all just kind of piling forward.
Yeah. I don't know. To me, this is a little bit more concerning than I think you guys think it is. Though, like, I'll throw a little caveat in there. Sometimes, the stock market panics a little bit more than is warranted.
Not lately, though. Not in like the last 6 years.
But I mean, like, I would think that $79 billion of lost value for Diageo is probably a pretty hefty chunk of their overall net value. 43 billion for Pernod Ricard.
Yeah, I don't.
Seems like a lot.
They both also just have so many brands that are not bourbon.
Oh yeah, I mean that's to me. I think the larger concern is the overall downward trend of alcohol consumption.
Agree.
For
The thing
for
that I think
brands
is-
like these.
The thing that I think is stupid that I just read in here, it says the market now has 3 harder inputs: higher rates, fuller shelves, and GLP-1s. GLP-1s because they can reduce desire itself. Okay. It
Well-
doesn't take that much to drink an ounce and a half of fucking whiskey. Like, I get it. Back in the days of my early 20s, I used to be able to pound 14, 15, 16 Busch Lights without no problem at all. Can't do that. And I'm sure if I was on GLP-1s, I definitely wouldn't be able to do that. You know what isn't a lot to consume? An ounce and a half.
Yeah, but I mean, well, to Jake's point, these are all kinds of different sub brands. These companies own, so it's not just straight spirits. There's tons of different like canned cocktails. I'm sure that all of these brands own a beer or something along those lines. So
Yeah, there's a lot of different factors here again, which is why like this chart just makes me think, wow, we're just really trying to beat down that the whiskey industry is hurting. But
It's falling, but this doesn't. I mean, they are a whiskey.
and these they are, yeah, they do have some big whiskey brands, but like Sazerac, what's Sazerac at right now? How much are they up? Like if
I
they
don't know,
were
'cause they're
included,
private.
Yeah, but okay, so if they were like to be valued, I guarantee you they'd be up right now. They've had a
Yeah,
phenomenal
probably.
last 5 6 years.
So the other thing that kind of ties into that, I would say there's a potential bright side to lost value across these major conglomerates, and that's that if it is tied to a loss in or a drop in demand, that should relate to lower prices or at least stable prices for the future. I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that are as I pull up this next
Yeah, I think we're
tie-in.
already starting to see prices go down. I don't think brands really have a choice. Like they have to kind of break through and be one of the early ones to break through to kind of reestablish their name out there. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, supply and demand. Like we learned this in basic business in high school that when there's too much supply, prices go down. When there's not enough supply, prices go up. We're in a
Yeah,
big surplus of supply right now, so we're going to have to see some prices go down, uh, or else nobody's going to buy your stuff. There's plenty of places we can buy from.
yeah. Or do the Buffalo Trace hold the same price for like 15 years?
And just create a new
An article
label.
speaking of Sazerac, an article from Forbes on May 7th of this season or this year says that since what was that? They've been up an average of 18% year over year since 2007. It says an average though that they don't have a year over year graph, so you can't see if there's been a plateau or anything. But
Yeah. But I mean, that's a pretty significant average to begin with.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no one's going to be mad if you grow by 18% every year.
Yeah, right. So this chart describes unicorn auctions. Basically, even though you were seeing this overproduction of whiskey and falling demand, any unicorn auctions or unicorn auctions in general are continuing to rise in price, which I think is interesting. Though it doesn't specify like what a unicorn actually entails, at least that I'm reading. So
No, and they're basing this off of month by month, which within itself has a lot of flaws. So just looking at what would be June of 2025, this is based off of dollars sold per unicorn auction event.
yeah,
Well, that's based off of all the unicorn auctions that month. I mean, when you look at May of 25 versus June of 25, June is about half of what May is, and then it goes back up double in August of 25. However, it looks like it's been steady or falling a little bit on average since a couple peak months. But again, it's based off of the number of auctions, and they could be to keep money going. They could be having more and more and more auctions each month. It doesn't say
that's
that
true. Yeah,
there's this graph has a lot of flaws in it too that I wasn't a big fan of, and they don't really. The formula that was running 1K lots. Yeah. So well, and that two. They were having 1.8K lots in a single monthly event. Now clears 17K across 3 or 4. So it's just they're having more auctions.
more auctions. Yeah.
So and this is just total of dollars. Yeah.
Well, so I guess that sparks an interesting question. Why do you think people are trying to sell
Yeah,
so many unicorns?
That's probably the better side is people are. It's because we'll look at one later. they're probably selling more at less, but a lot more at a little less still adds up to a lot more in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
If you're having 3 to 4 times the amount of auctions, you should see about 3 to 4 times the amount of sales. Which, looking at January 23, that's definitely the case. But since January of 25, or call it May of 25, June of 25, been pretty steady. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are selling off. To me, this is more or less saying that more people are selling off more unicorn bottles, but probably at a lower price. They're not something you might have got 2,000 for back in January 23. You might only be getting 1,000 for right now, but if you sell 5 at 1,000 versus 1 at 2,000,
Right.
so that doesn't really do too much for me.
Yeah, I mean, I see both sides. I also agree and think that this shows that there's more interest in rare and collectible whiskey. I think because more people have gotten into whiskey in the last 5 or 6 years, the search for older bottles and dusties and rare stuff has kind of become more of an awareness. You know, people are finding just in their grandparents' cupboards and random family members that have whiskey from the 70s and 80s that didn't know they had something desirable, literally collecting dust. So I see both sides, but I do think that maybe, yeah, people are not buying as much and they're trying to sell off some of their collection. And it's not a surprise. It's not, I think everybody knows that the secondary market has gone down. So prices are down. And that's probably causing people to panic sell and just get what they can for some of these bottles that aren't worth as much as they were a couple years ago.
And this might sound dumb or outrageous, but let's say you've had your eye on a bottle for a while, and a couple of years ago it was 2,000 and 5,000, and now you can get it for 2,000. You might have been saying, "There's no way in hell I'm going to spend 5K on a bottle," but hey, there's this crazy old bottle of Stitzel Weller that I wanted that I can now get for 2/5 the price. Why not?
Yeah.
So.
Was this the one you were talking about, Dan?
No, I was talking about the one that shows more or less like the BTAC stuff and everything. Yeah, no, not the 12-year. This one.
Yeah. Yeah, so this one talks about the decreasing value of, decreasing sale price of primarily BTAC stuff, but also some other unicorn type bottles from what's the date range on here? January and June through June 2023
First half
versus
of year 23 versus end of year 25, 26.
Yeah, thank you. So it looks like King of Kentucky is basically the only one that's up in value. Every other bottle is down double digits.
That they show.
That they're showing, right? Yeah. With I think that's
the ones that are showing the biggest decrease are Elmer T. Lee. 2022 edition is down 52%, and Taylor Barrel Proof Batch 11 is down 59% from what it was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, which
but
Elmer T. Lee isn't like that big of a surprise to me.
Yeah,
they're nitpicking vintages.
Yeah,
and batches.
Yeah, for sure.
So obviously, I'm assuming they're showing the ones that have the biggest decrease in value.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. But I mean, I think it's pretty clear that across the board, secondary market is dropping.
Yeah.
I would think that goes for auctions as well, not just market value.
it's and I mean, the only one that's showing up a little bit on this chart is King of Kentucky for a single barrel 15 in 2022 is up 8%. King of Kentucky is also the most of everything they have on this list, which includes your Michter 10s, your Russell 13s, your Old Forester birthday bourbon. King of Kentucky is like the only one that's been like newer hype within the last few years, where it seems like, and maybe just because I'm further away from it now, but it seems like back in 2020, everyone and their brother wanted a batch of birthday bourbon, and I think a lot of people could go one way or the other if they want it in their collection at all or not. No. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I
also
think a lot of these too, this is my opinion, I think people have come to discover that they're not that great to begin with.
I don't think that.
I think there's a few on this list that people, I think, realized are not as good as their
Elmer, Rock Hill, stuff like that. Yeah, Russell 13. But I mean, we also we had Pappy as one of the Pappy 15 is one of the top bourbons, and that's.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not every single bottle on here for sure, but like there's 3 or 4 that I think.
I will say one of my favorite on here is Taylor Barrel Proof, and that's down 60%. Like I think what people were paying for it versus what you can get it for now is probably about right. Like I've bought Taylor Barrel Proof not too far in the distant past, not at retail, and it was what I think I got paid $150 or $175 for it. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's fine.
I mean the value proposition on Taylor Barrel Proof though is so good. So like, if you're 59% decrease from even $200 is still, I mean that's like still a pretty good value at $100 or whatever.
Gold Eagle Jake, we know your thoughts on Taylor, but do you have any different thoughts on Taylor Barrel Proof though?
Yeah, you guys know my thoughts. We did this on the
that's
pod.
Right.
Yeah. I'm a fan of Taylor Barrel Proof. It's most batches are really good. When you get a really good batch, it's right up there with some of the favorite bourbons I've ever had. It seems like they have been increasing the production on that one quite a bit. So to me, it's not a surprise that it has gone down, and the last couple batches they released have been really good. So there's no need to like hunt old batches that are impossible to find.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I mean, even Jake, back when you and I first started really getting into whiskey, Pappy 12 was usually on like wooden quart for around $2,000, and now it's always on sale for around $1,000 or less now. So
I think that's going to continue to fall. I think it's going to keep dropping and dropping because it's so easy to get a bottle of Pappy 12 now.
No, I don't think it's easy to get a bottle of super easy to get a bottle of Pappy 12.
Well, if you live anywhere besides Utah, it's not that hard.
I still think even a lot of countries.
I don't think it's easy.
Yeah,
but
I know like 10 people that got Pappy 12, and just
not everyone's like you and your cronies that spend $30,000 at a liquor store a year.
But the raffle is not a spending based thing.
I mean, there's a lot of it out there now compared to 10 years ago. Yes, I still wouldn't consider it easy. I mean, you still have to win a lottery.
You got to win a lottery, super easy.
Be a loyal customer somewhere.
I know, but before they imposed the lottery, or the year before they imposed the lottery, they like begged me to take one. I was like, okay.
I don't see Pappy, like, just because I know the numbers of Pappy 12 better, I don't see that dropping below $700 yet within the next 4 or 5 years.
Oh, I think it will.
I think it will.
On wooden cork and like the sites where you're not going to get screwed over on and actually get legit bottles.
And I think like average, I don't know, the average like
what's MSRP on it now?
Price. It's gone up, so it's about 160. Yeah, it's about somewhere between 150 and 180.
I'd say in under 5 years it's going to be at like 300.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
0% chance.
You're saying
I'll bet you
secondary 300?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying secondary 300. It's going to, in 5 years from now, retail's going to be over 200. It's.
Yeah, I could see
they're
that
not going to raise,
more.
raise prices.
Jacob, right
again.
now I will bet you that in 5 years, the aftermarket for Pappy 12 is not 300. Is more than $300. I will bet you a bottle of aftermarket.
I'll
Pappy
find and
12.
I'll adjust my prediction that I think it's going to be no more than double what retail is at the time.
I'll still take you on that. An aftermarket bottle of Pappy 12 in 5 years, and it's not below double what retail is.
No, yeah, I'll take it.
All right, it's
I'm
we have a
Write it
witness
down.
as well. You're on
Write
the
it
hook
down,
for this.
Kyle.
So next one, this one's not necessarily about like the larger market. I mean, it kind of is, but this one's more just interesting to me. So this is talking about 12-year bourbon, how there's no real standard pricing for 12-year bourbon. Looking at the both the MSRP and the average online retail for 7 different bottles. Eagle Rare 12, Knob Creek 12, 1792 12, Weller 12, Jack 12, Pappy 12, and King of Kentucky.
I really think they just want to suck King of Kentucky's nuts like you do Evan Hills. Like I think this whole
I know. I think
just
it's
wants to suck on King of Kentucky's balls.
well. I don't think this is praising King of Kentucky.
The two of them they've specifically called out King of Kentucky. Just saying.
Well, I mean, because it is like one of the more hyped up whiskeys right now. But I mean, like, I think this is interesting because you have Eagle 12 all the way at like $50 on the low end, to $299 for King of Kentucky for a 12-year
MSRP.
Right, MSRP, comparing MSRP on both. And then everything else is in between, most of them skewing $100 or less, which I think is actually like kind of surprising with the general rule of thumb of 10 years,
That's more
$10 per year.
That's a crap.
Yeah, and
I
I
mean,
don't know. These are some big name distilleries producing some big name brands.
Yeah.
Like you're of course gonna go with the big name brands from the big name distilleries, but we're looking at 7 bottles when there's thousands of probably
Multiple releases
thousands different 12-year.
Besides Jack, Pappy, and King of Kentucky. Weller 12, multiple releases a year. 1792, multiple releases a year. Knob Creek, tons of releases a year. Eagle Rares, 12 years, 2 releases a year right now.
There's only been 1 release.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah.
They said it was going to be twice a year.
Okay.
But I mean, so you think that the price is only driven by the scarcity of the bottle? Is what you're saying, right, Dan?
You're talking about for Lot B and King of Kentucky?
For MSRP, they're pricing those higher because they're only doing 1 release a year?
I mean, well, Jack is also 1 release a year, and that's a lot cheaper than Pappy.
Right.
Pappy has gravitas behind it, so I have no problem seeing it. I think it's crazy that King of Kentucky's charging $300.
No, me too.
Retail for
To be clear, yeah.
like
Obviously.
207 aftermarket on Eagle Rare 12 on average versus $299 MSRP for King of Kentucky. I think that's fucking dumb.
Yeah.
I mean, Pappy 12 is getting up there at 170 MSRP that they're showing. Like you said, 150 to 180 is kind of where or 160 to 180 is kind of where Pappy 12 falls nowadays. They have Eagle 12 is MSRP is 50. Knob Creek, we talk about all the frickin' time at $60.
Yep.
Seven and available all the time. I think it's on Gold Eagle right now, even because I was looking at the website the other day.
Yeah, it's pretty much always available.
Yeah, $17.92, $60 for a 12-year Weller 12, $70 MSRP. Yeah, like until you get to Jack Daniels 12-year, every other one we just mentioned is available for way less aftermarket than what King of Kentucky is retail.
Yeah.
It's dumb. It's just dumb.
Agreed.
They're riding the hype train. They're trying to get their money while they can. I don't blame them, but as a consumer, I think it's.
Do you think it's a? Do you think it's a sign of Brown Foreman panicking,
No, because
or just
it's
trying
not
to squeeze
sitting-
every
it's
dollar
not
out
sitting
of?
anywhere.
No.
Well, right.
Yeah, they're. I mean, they're charging it because they can. Because people pay it, and there's still a secondary market for it.
What's crazy though is the secondary market on King of Kentucky. It's a $300 MSRP. Secondary is $636.
Yeah.
Happy MSRP 170. Secondary just over $1,000.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
I think that's maybe a little bit to do with the branding or established loyalty, between those two.
It's all about
Like-
hype.
Well, I mean, everybody knows Pappy, but
Yeah.
not everybody knows King of Kentucky yet.
Gun to my head, I will rather pay $636 aftermarket for King of Kentucky than $1,000 for Pappy. But I'd also buy 2 Pappy 12s for almost the price of one King of Kentucky.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think? Am I off base on that? And I'm not you guys. I'm talking to people listening. Shoot us a comment. Am I off base on that, or am I just being a tater, which is possible as well?
I mean, you are a tater, but I
I'm
would
1,000.
agree.
I'm drinking Blanton's Gold Label tonight, and total tater in it, except for
Nice.
the cork busted off, so I had to use another.
It's a fake.
Blanton's cork.
I'm drinking
Better not be a fake.
good
I think I got
old Heaven Hill.
Nice. I am drinking mezcal because it's 85 degrees and I'm sitting outside.
Nice.
It's 92 right now with 0% humidity.
It was
30 degrees less than it is normally right now.
All right, I think last one. I think this is more of just an interesting point, and I kind of want to hear you guys' thoughts on whether you think this is going to be a trend across other distilleries and labels. But this shows the old Granddad lineup with each of their MSRPs. You have the 80 proof Granddad at $18, the bonded at $25, 114 at $30, the 7-year bottled and bond at $40, 114 single barrel 7-year between $40 and $60, and the 16-year 100 proof at almost $200, $195. I think what's highlighted in the text on the right is that the 16-year came out last year, if I'm remembering correctly, at the $200 price point. And then I think they realized what they were doing and then dropped the 114 7-year for like $50 this year. Because I think that 16-year was very off-brand for old Granddad at that price point. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that. Then I've got another question after that.
Well,
Jake, you want to go? Because I have my thoughts on this, and I can see where the story is on this.
yeah, I mean, I guess I'll try to be quick. Like, I do love the idea of expanding the bottom shelf. I think, so many people talk about they have great memories with their father or somebody in their family drinking old Granddad, their grandfather, and I think it's super cool. Like there, all those bottom shelf bourbons have a special place in somebody's heart, based off of a good memory, and I think it's super cool to be able to grab one of these new releases and dive into it and share it with whoever it is that you have those memories drinking the OG releases on. And again, I think people are brand loyal, definitely flavor loyal, and to see something that you like come out with new labels, you're not going to really hesitate. You're going to go buy that bottle. So I think it's a great move, and I would like to see more bottom shelf options come out with interesting higher end versions.
I mean, we saw that with Benchmark, right? With going to the full proof,
for sure,
and that worked out well. And the one thing with Benchmark, they kept everything for the relative quality of it in the same price range of what you would expect it to be for Benchmark.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw with Heaven Hill. They had the basic white label. They came out with the 7-year, and then they came out with the grain and glass and experimental finishes. So I mean, there's definitely different examples. But go ahead.
Even like the Old Fitz 7-year bib.
Yeah, the Old Fitz
was like priced really well.
Here's what I see. Like, I get it at 16 years, it's way more expensive. If we remember back not too long ago, here's what's telling to me is Knob Creek 12-year. I think it was $60 MSRP. It was showing aftermarket at $70. So $10 more per bottle from regular to secondary market. The Old Grandad came out at an MSRP of $195. The secondary market is $212. So
yeah,
the people are willing to pay $10 more for a Knob Creek 10-year or 12-year, but only about $20 more for an Old Grandad 16-year. I think they came out with that high price point. You obviously had your avid whiskey collectors go after it, and then everyone else is like, I ain't paying. There ain't no way in hell I'm paying $200 for Old Grandad just because it's 16 years.
Yeah.
Because all the other Old Granddads on here, their MSRP and their aftermarket, which I don't think there's an secondary market for 80 proof Old Grandad, they're all the exact same or within what you'd expect to pay at the store.
Well, the Old Grandad bonded secondary is actually $1 less than its MSRP, which is funny.
Yeah. So, like, I think that they came out and they're like, hey, let's try and ride this craze of limited edition, high, ultra premium pricing on a product, and everyone's like, and hoping that, like, I think you can tell if you have a hit if people are willing to spend more than double the MSRP on aftermarket. And people were barely willing to spend more than what the MSRP was on it, and they're like, yeah, you know what? Maybe this probably wasn't the greatest idea at the price point.
Yeah. Still sold out everywhere.
It did. I'm not saying that's not a bad thing. I don't think they put out big quantities.
Turnaround or
they're gonna have to make it probably very limited if they want to
stay at that price point.
Continue at that price point, which maybe they don't have that. I'm assuming they don't have many barrels that old of Old Grandad.
Yeah.
Because it never was a brand that was meant to age out. And Jim Beam also acquired this label not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's cool that they're expanding that lineup. Like you said, Jake, I too would like to see more expansion in the bottom shelf tier. And we have, I won't just use the Heaven Hill example, but like Henry McKenna is another good one.
That is Heaven Hill.
Yeah,
I know, but I'm going to give other examples too. Like, they have
Mellow
the regular
corn.
I have to say Mellow Corn.
Mellow Corn. I mean, they did do the 20-year Mellow Corn or whatever.
Well, they did, but they didn't because they didn't put Mellow Corn on it.
Yeah.
But like
they even like Four Roses, has their standard bourbon. They have small batch, select, and single barrel.
They just came
out with what, 100 proof?
100 proof of the standard.
Yeah, which is cool. Like, I think we should see more of that. We should see a little bit more like age statement maybe from a brand like Four Roses. Buffalo Trace does not need to expand anything ever again. But like, I mean, what Jim Beam actually does kind of have this large bottom shelf portfolio, right?
Jim Beam and Heaven Hill.
Yeah, because like,
And then
well, even
maybe
just like
Buffalo
the Beam
Trace
like brand has
Sazerac.
like white label Beam, black label Beam,
Double Oak, Devil's
Double
Cut,
Oak, yeah, Devil's Cut, 8-year Beam,
Bonded. No, 7-year.
7-year.
The
Yeah,
Bonded.
so like
they've got
that
the
one
whole...
I think gets overlooked a little bit, but
Yeah, all those do. The only problem with those is they're 86 proof.
right.
Now, if I were Jim Beam, I would come out with like 7-year, 8-year versions of those at higher proof, and kind of bring those brands back to life. Because I don't think people are, bourbon people definitely not buying those bottles. People who like regular Jim Beam are definitely not buying those bottles. I think it's time for them to kind of revamp and relaunch those with some age statements and a little bit higher proof.
Yeah, I think I've said this before, but I'll say it again. The Jim Beam Double Oaked is a great cooking whiskey because it's dirt cheap, but it tastes great.
What do you cook with it?
Put it in chili, put it in like
Or you just drink it while you cook?
both. I mean, you can obviously do that. Like if you want to use that to like deglaze for like a sauce or something like that, it's really, really good. It has tons of flavor because it's double oaked too. So
Also,
and it's only
Gold
like
Eagle,
$20 or less. So
Gold Eagle Jake, if you're a Jim Beam, there is no way in hell you'd be on this podcast.
If you're at Jim Beam?
If you were Jim Beam.
Oh. Did I say?
You said if I were Jim Beam.
If I was Jim Beam, the distillery.
Alright. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah, on that shitty joke note, let's wrap up.
So yeah, I don't know. The production numbers were interesting to me. A couple of the graphs they have don't really tell a clear enough story to really get a picture. Or they're trying to use graphs and what's called p-hacking, when you just kind of pick the data you want to show and ignore other data.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like you did with that one report you shared with us.
That was very specific of you.
The report you put together for Whiskey Acres that you shared with us.
Oh yeah,
like 2 years
yeah,
ago.
that was totally p-hacked and not done with all the research from highly reputable places.
I just wanted
It
to set
actually
you
had
off.
exact data and was stuff that is completely reflected in what's going on in the market. Totally fake news.
I just wanted to
1,000.
take a jab at your data analytics skills. That's all.
They're actually pretty darn good. My data analytics skills are 30 times better than your research skills. And in 5 years, you're going to buy like an $800 bottle of Pappy for me. I can't wait for that.
Well, we never agreed to the terms.
We said aftermarket cost of Pappy. If you're right, I will buy you an aftermarket cost of a bottle of Pappy.
Oh, I didn't hear
in
that.
5 years.
Kyle,
That's-
double check that, and then
Kyle will. I already texted him roughly the time signature of that. You are gonna have to spend a lot of money.
I
on
thought
that,
it was like a gentleman's agreement that we were just going to see who was right.
There's always a wager in a gentleman's agreement.
I'll
You're
fine.
lucky we didn't go for a duel on this one.
You got to give me odds then. If
No, there are
yeah,
no
because
odds. You took these
inherently,
straight
if
up.
I
You
no
can't go back and
inherently,
take
if
back
I
the bet.
lose, I have to pay
When?
more.
That's your own problem for taking the thing. You shouldn't have been so fucking confident. You should have. I even let you adjust your number from 300 to 400.
No, I think I
Like-
should get 2 to 1 odds. You have to buy me 2
I
cappies
gave
if
you
I have to buy you
300 to
1.
400, and I said I will do that. So, if you don't want to have to worry about spending aftermarket prices of whiskey on a bottle of Pappy, you can just buy a whole bunch of stuff from Gold Eagle and get very high up on their allocated list at the end of the year. Gold Eagle Jake, how can people spend money at Gold Eagle?
I mean, there's tons of easy ways, and you actually don't even need to spend that much to get Pappy anymore. The bottles stretch pretty far down the list these days, and I'm sure it's only going to get better. But you can go to goldeaglewine.com. You can download our app on the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. We ship to 40 states. You can come visit us if you're local at 255 Peterson Road in Libertyville. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Gold Eagle Wine. Follow us on Facebook at Gold Eagle Spirits. I'll leave it off with saying, yes, interesting graphs. I do think there's a little bit of pea hacking. I do think that there's a lot of clickbait and panic towards this whole, oh, the whiskey industry is falling apart, the sky is falling kind of vibe going on. And I think there's also a lot of good data to be looked at that is being ignored right now. And yes, I will say that we're not where we were a couple of years ago, but that's just how this industry works. It's ups, it's downs, and nobody really knows where it's going to be in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 15 years.
Does p hacking come from like the p value in like probability calculation?
I don't know where the term p hacking came from. I just know what the term is, what it means.
Yeah, hopefully it's an actual term, because I just learned that today.
P hacking is an actual term.
It just doesn't mean what Dan's saying it means.
Mm-hmm. No, it means 1,000% what I'm saying. It's basically cherry picking data. Jake, Gold Eagle Jake, thank you for your final takes on that and telling people where they can get some great whiskey from. Not Gold Eagle Jake, other Jake. Where can people listen and watch you say more stupid things at?
Just to be safe, don't Google p hacking at work. And then if you want to find us, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook at Bourbon Matters. Watch us on Spotify and YouTube. Listen to us on Apple, Google, Spotify, or any other podcast platform. Make sure you like, subscribe, click the notification bell so you get notified whenever we come out with an episode. Share the show with your friends.
And before we sign off, I just want to say one thing. Jake, I have no idea what your Google algorithm is, but I just Googled p hacking, and it came up with the misuse of data analysis to manipulate research results and desired p value.
I said just to be safe.
And then it talks about data dredging and there's nothing concerning. So I don't know what your Google algorithm looks like. Like, if Asians popped up when you Googled p hacking, that's on you.
I'm just saying.
All right, guys. Cheers.
All right, cheers.
Cheers.